button up on Mar-a-Lago. You're saying that Jeffrey Epstein poached 2 of your staffers. Who were they?
Yeah, I don't want to say 2, or I don't want to say any number. You're talking about many years ago. But yeah, he took people, and because he took people, I said, don't do it anymore. You know, they work for me. And he took, beyond that, he took some others. And once he did that, that was the end of him. I didn't like, when they steal people, I don't like it.
Mr. President, Epstein has a certain reputation, obviously. Just curious, were some of the workers that were taken from you, were some of them young women?
Were some of them?
Were some of them young women?
Well, I don't want to say, but everyone knows the people that were taken. And it was the concept of taking people that work for me is bad. But that story's been pretty well out there. And the answer is yes, they were.
Yes, they were.
Yeah.
What did they do?
In the spa.
Jobs?
In the spa.
Yeah, it's people that work in the spa. I have a great spa, one of the best spas in the world at Mar-a-Lago. And people were taken out of the spa, hired by him. In other words, gone. And other people would come and complain, this guy is taking people from the spa. I didn't know that. And then when I heard about it, I told him, I said, listen, we don't want you taking our people, whether it was spa or not spa. I don't want him taking people. And he was fine, and then not too long after that, he did it again, and I said, out of here.
Mr. President, did one of those stolen, persons, that include Virginia Giuffre?
I don't know. I think she worked at the spa. I think so. I think that was one of the people, yeah. He stole her. And by the way, she had no complaints about us, as you know. None whatsoever.
We've seen how good your security.
This morning, Virginia Giuffre's family wants to know what President Trump knows about convicted sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein. In a new statement, the siblings of Giuffre saying, it makes us ask if he was aware of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell's criminal actions. We and the public are asking for answers. Survivors deserve this. In 2019, when Epstein was charged with trafficking, Trump said they had a falling out and had not spoken in 15 years. The Giuffre family now speaking out after Trump was asked by reporters this week if Giuffre was one of the employees he claimed Epstein stole from his Mar-a-Lago resort.
I think she worked at the spa. I think so. I think that was one of the people, yeah. He stole her. And by the way, she had no complaints about us, as you know. None whatsoever.
Giuffre's family saying it was Epstein's associate, Ghislaine Maxwell, who targeted and preyed upon our then 16-year-old sister, Virginia, from Mar-a-Lago.
I was recruited at a very young age from Mar-a-Lago and entrapped in a world that I didn't understand, and I've been fighting that very world to this day.
Giuffre, who died by suicide in April, accused Maxwell of recruiting her while she was working as a locker room attendant in 2000, claiming she was groomed to be a teen sex slave for Epstein. Maxwell denied participating in sexual activities with Giuffre and Epstein and denied instructing Giuffre to have sex with others. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche met with Maxwell last week, part of the Justice Department's effort to uncover information about anyone who has committed crimes against victims. Maxwell, currently serving 20 years in prison and appealing her conviction to the Supreme Court, offered to testify before Congress for immunity. Giuffre's family hopes that doesn't happen, saying Ghislaine Maxwell is a monster who deserves to rot in prison for the rest of her life. Trump has not ruled out pardoning Maxwell, but has said no one's approached him about it. The Justice Department says only 2 law enforcement witnesses testified during the grand juries in New York that investigated Epstein and Maxwell. Supporters of releasing all the Epstein files say this proves more than just the grand jury transcripts need to be released to show transparency.
I think we were shocked by it, especially to use the term stolen, because she's not an object. She's a person who's recruited at Mar-a-Lago, his property, place where she was looking forward to having fun that summer. And it just kind of makes us wonder, how much he knew.
Because the Jeffrey Epstein uproar and the heat on Donald Trump is only growing. His own failed secrecy efforts, the haphazard and at times bizarre responses, and the attempts to dodge what has been scrutiny from the right, the center, and the left. We talk about how we're divided in America, and people may be interested in this story for a range of different reasons, but this pressure is universal. And you can get a lot of people who followed this story, even in the sort of summer doldrums, on the same page that Donald Trump and Pam Bondi and this Justice Department under Donald Trump have blown it, that they have been secretive, they have issued falsehoods where they were either lying then or lying now, and the pressure's only building. Today, Republican Senator breaking with the usual MAGA loyalty the people have become accustomed to, demanding answers. New scrutiny on the DOJ, which has been quiet and secretive since its unusual jailhouse interview with Ms. Maxwell. And then a demand for accountability now coming from the people involved in all this who have been hurt the most, the victims and their surviving families in some cases. Because for all of the conspiracy theories and all of the talk and questions and sometimes downright ghoulish right-wing online sort of feeding frenzy, there was, of course, a very real set of horrific crimes here and real victims. In fact, just this week, we heard from one of the reporters who wrote a book about this, not for the politics, not for the conspiracy theories, but about the victims and how this system did mistreat and fail them. So this is going to the family of the late Virginia Giuffre, who was accused Epstein of sexually abusing her as a teen. And they are asking questions about why Trump is being so suspicious and secretive and what he knew and when he knew it. Now, Giuffre took her own life earlier this year. Her family pointed to the statement that Trump has given that they say is shocking when he told reporters that the reason, and remember, he's had plenty of time to get a story straight if he wanted to, but as of this week, the reason he says he booted Epstein from Mar-a-Lago was because, in the president's words, Epstein, quote, stole this other human being. You can't steal people, and you could chalk it up to a grammar mistake if it were isolated. But given the way the president has previously spoken about women and young women and what he knows about Epstein, it is something that the family is responding to, him saying that Epstein stole, quote unquote, Giuffre from the spa at Mar-a-Lago. Now, Giuffre had previously indicated in a lawsuit these events occurred around 2000 when she was 16 years old.
Mr. President, did one of those stolen, persons, that include Virginia Giuffre?
I don't know. I think she worked at the spa. I think so. I think that was one of the people. Yeah. He stole her. And by the way, she had no complaints about us, as you know. None whatsoever.
That's his view. Others disagree. The problem for Trump is manifold because, first of all, he had aides who said that the ties were cut with Epstein in 2004. Trump's new comments are a different timeline. So that raises a whole set of questions. In 2002, 2 years after President Trump says he kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago, he told New York Magazine, I've known Jeff for 15 years, terrific guy, a lot of fun to be with. It's even said, which if you've covered Donald Trump, you know is a, quote, approach he often uses to say things he wants to say, but, quote, it's even said he, Epstein, likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side. Whatever you think of the content or substance of that quote, it also interferes with the timeline, as mentioned. Giuffre's family says it makes us ask if he was aware of Epstein and Maxwell's criminal actions, given his statement 2 years later that his good friend Epstein likes women on the, quote, younger side, referencing that quote I just showed you from that article, quote, no doubt about it. Trump is unable to dodge all this stuff. He has tried to say the story is boring and has nothing to do with him. Everyone from MAGA to legal experts to victims' family members, as you see here, disagrees. They don't think it's boring or over, and he is getting questioned on it. This was late today.
You said that Jeffrey Epstein stole people from Mar-a-Lago. At the time, did you know why he was taking those young women, including Virginia?
No, I didn't know. I mean, I would figure it was ABC fake news that would ask that question, one of the worst. But no, I don't know really why. But I said if he's taking anybody from Mar-a-Lago, he's hiring or whatever he's doing. I didn't like it, and we threw him out. We said we don't want him, at the place.
Now, that is his claim as of today, knowing everything he knows, including about how upset people are over this. Of course, this is not a traditional HR hiring dispute. This is not like a competing club that's hiring people. And at a business level, business people sometimes know that happens. Who among us hasn't seen someone in legitimate business who goes to work for another competitor in the same space? This is not that. This is the question of when did he know that the, quote, hiring or the way that Mr. Epstein was using people was in the worst oppressive criminal way, a sex trafficker. Giuffre's family says we and the public are asking for answers. Survivors deserve it. The family also referenced DOJ's unusual jailhouse interviews with Maxwell, who, again, was convicted of sex trafficking that affected their family member. Quote, if our sister could speak today, she'd be the most angered by the fact that the government, that's referring to the Trump DOJ, is listening to a known perjurer, a woman who repeatedly lied under oath and will continue to do so as long as it benefits her position. Remember, the story's been going for a while. Plenty of victims' families have spoken out previously. We've quoted them. We've quoted the old interviews. Some have chosen to speak out again. But we are deep into this crisis, and it's taken this, including that unusual and suspicious jailhouse interview, to bring out these victims. So one, that matters for the reason that they are the most affected by the underlying case. And two, for Donald Trump, it's a reminder of just how poorly he's handled this and how the secrecy has brought out more people. Whatever you think of some of the conspiracy theorists, everyone has claimed that they care about the victims because Epstein's the bad guy, he's the villain, Maxwell is his enabler, his co-conspirator, convicted. And now the victims are coming out, and guess who they're mad at? President Trump. Here's a Republican senator today.
Let's break down exactly what just happened, because this is one of those moments where deflection meets denial in the most uncomfortable way possible. Donald Trump was asked about Virginia Giuffre, a known survivor of Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking network, and his answer wasn't to express concern or compassion, but to say Epstein stole her from the Mar-a-Lago spa like she was some kind of borrowed towel. Let that sink in. This is the former president of United States, referring to a 16-year-old girl later entrapped in one of the most high-profile abuse scandals of the century as someone who got stolen from his property, as if that somehow clears him of accountability. And now Giuffre's family is speaking out, and rightfully so. They're demanding answers, not vague timelines or staffing excuses, but real clarity about what Trump knew and when he knew it, because saying someone was stolen implies two things. One, that they were yours to begin with, and two, that the thief is the only guilty party. But this isn't about staff poaching. It's about a teenage girl recruited while working at Mar-a-Lago by Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein, who ended up abused, trafficked, and silenced for years. And yet, Trump's response isn't one of horror or regret. It's a calculated PR dodge to distance himself from a predator he once described as a terrific guy, a man he socialized with, whose taste in younger women he once offhandedly referenced, and don't think people have forgotten that quote because it's on the record. Now Trump claims he banned Epstein from Mar-a-Lago after learning he was taking spa staff. But here's the problem, that timeline doesn't add up, he said. He cut ties in 2004, yet in 2002 he praised Epstein in New York Magazine. Now in 2025, he's treating this like a simple HR issue, while survivors and their families are still grieving and still seeking justice. And let's not forget the DOJ here either, because this isn't just about Trump, it's about the system that enabled silence. Epstein and Maxwell thrived with institutional cover, and when Trump's DOJ had a chance to lead with transparency, they instead met with Maxwell in secret, offered her potential immunity, and ignored victim pleas for accountability. Now Giuffre's family isn't just questioning Epstein or Maxwell, but Trump's ongoing efforts to rewrite history, because when you call a trafficked girl stolen staff, you're not just being sloppy with language, you're avoiding moral responsibility. And that's what this is about. Responsibility, not gossip, not partisan theater, but the fact that powerful people continue to dodge the consequences of what happened on their watch. So let's stop pretending this is boring or not about him, as Trump likes to insist, because survivors are saying it is. And we believe them when survivors speak. We listen because they've had their stories distorted long enough. So, Mr. Trump, what exactly did you know when you praised Epstein? What did you know when Virginia worked at your spa? What did you know when you kicked Epstein out? And why does your story keep changing? Because survivors deserve more than rehearsed lines and nervous dodges. They deserve truth. And if you're watching, believe in justice and not just politics. Share this video. Demand real answers. And let's finally give power back to those who were hurt, not to those who pretend they never saw a thing.